Dear respected teacher, dear Sangha, today is November 29th, year 2018, and we're in Upper Hamlet in Stillwater Sitting Meditation Hall, and we're in our lay day with all our lay friends who are here for long term, and some here for 3 months, some here for a year, 2 years. So it's a very beautiful rains retreat tradition. We have today is also a monastic day, and I think they're in Lower Hamlet. When I first came into Plum Village, we didn't have monastic day or lay day. There was maybe 45 monks and nuns, and we can all fit in Thai's hut or Thai's deck, you know. And as we grow bigger, and Plum Village became more, more a place of refuge. Somehow the monastics, we were like very small. So during the year, we hardly get to see each other and to practice together and look at some of the things within the monastic community. So slowly there was that need. And same thing with lay friends. More and more came, and they stayed longer, and many of them became OI members and Dharma teachers. So yeah, we feel very grateful that the Fourfold Sangha grew together. Like, we wouldn't be able to have a monastic day without solid, stable, happy, harmonious, peaceful lay friends, our sisters and brothers who we feel very grateful here in Plum Village that you dedicate your life to come here, not just long term, but some of you are thinking of moving here. Some already have moved here. I think before coming in here, I saw a baby. I think there's a family here that lives in Tanak. I think you know. 2 babies in Plum Village. I knew them when the mother was having the belly bulging, the first baby. So I look at the couple and I say, what have I produced in these last few years? You know, they produced 2 babies. So what do I do here? You know, what kind of love is from love that you, and your hope and your, yeah, you have a kind of love for your child and so on. And so this is a kind of a mantra for me. And when I see the farmers too, when they work on the farm, like now they are clipping the grape vines. I used to, as a novice, came here many years ago, my second year, and I used to walk by them, and I feel really, you know, they're doing a lot of work. All I do is walk around, eat, and sit, and, you know, maybe wash a few dishes. But what do I do? Huh? They do I mean, it's cold, their hands, it's very tough to be a farmer. And so sometimes I feel very, like I live a very privileged life. You know, I left a lot of things, my bank account, my car, my blood family, my sisters, my niece, my nephew. I live here. And once in a while, you know, when I was a novice, it'll come up. I feel kind of guilty. I would remember feeling, gosh, this is quite... So it made me, encourage me to really look into what do we do here? What are we? What is it that we are producing or offering to the world? I remember my university friend came and visited me, and she stayed for about 5 or 6 days, and she was a kind of practitioner too. But I think she was not very happy with me. She because we were architects together. And she felt that I was deserting our save the world aspiration. You know? As a young college student graduating, and after working a while, you have like very idealistic, I'm gonna save the climate, or save the polar bears or something. I wanted to save Los Angeles, make it a humane city with trees and nature and everyone sharing, and so a very idealistic. And she said she felt, she didn't say it, but I can feel that she felt I was deserting our commitment. I think a few of us in college, we supported each other, and we knew we wanted to help the world be a better place. And I remember I said, I'm doing my part, I'm still working here, doing things. And she's like, yeah, sure, it's easy for you to be in Plum Village. And she felt like I was hiding, I haven't talked to her for a while. I think in a few years we'll come back together and we'll do inventory. How much have you helped the world, and how much have I done? It's very, what do you call it? Gross national happiness kind of thing. What have you produced? How have you been useful? This is a kind of a way of thinking that I was trained in America. Anyway, to share with you how Plum Village has grown so much, and I think now I feel more at peace and at ease with what Plum Village is and what it's doing. As I grew more into this community and into the practice and look more deeply at ways we can help better the world. And some of you who have been here at least 1 year or 2 years, and you see so many kinds of people go through here, and the kind of breakthroughs they have in their heart and their mind, the kind of reconciliation they have with their loved ones, the amount of happiness and peace that they manage to generate, as well as reducing anger and irritation and frustration, these kind of daily things. Their eyebrows become a little bit more, that is already a great plus. The monastics, we sometime after a retreat, we come back to our room and our resident, and we say, did you see how his face changed? Just 1 week after one retreat, from the day a person come, and after 7 days, the face. And I think some of you are feeling that, maybe not in your face, but your body, maybe the way you chew. And so it's for me, these little things, I began to look more deeply as a kind of I don't want to say, it's what we do here. It's not what we produce, but it is a kind of what Plum Village is about. A place for healing, transformation, as well as for nourishment and inspiration. You've been here for the Wake Up Retreat, 500 young people. Wow, they come here and their battery is full capacity, and they go out there and save the world. Good luck. But it's good, young people need a place where they, because it's tough. We are living at a very tough period, not tougher than the Middle Ages or or the barbaric times and so on, but it is a tough time because of the media and the amount of stimulation. And every time I go back to the U.S. and I visit my family, I see it's so hard to raise a family, to raise a child now. So I feel a lot of inspiration to create more condition for families, supporting families, parents, brothers and sisters. And so anyway, that's a kind of like my reflection of the Fourfold Sangha growing and making Plum Village be meaningful. It's Thai's greatest wish. to create many plum villages around the world. You waste, what do you call it? Places that are not good for the economy, I say. I have a list I share with you just to make you laugh. I'm making a list what Plum Village is not good for. And one of the first one is Plum Village is not good for the economy. Because people who come here over and over again, you know, after I see them again, they quit their job. You know, that's the first thing. Is it's like, how come you're here for 2 weeks? It's like, I quit my job. You know, before it was very hard for them to find 1 week, you know. And I see them again, I was like, you're here for 2 weeks, really? And it's like, yeah, I quit my job. And it's classic, you know. So if you see somebody hanging around here a long time, it's probably not good for the economy. I thought you would laugh at it. The other one is Plum Village is not good for your self-image. You know, that one's hard, huh? You know, I came here and I was from LA and, you know, I was very gangster and people start to tell you a lot of things about yourself, you know, and you kind of like, So your identity and your kind of your, you know, Dharma discussion that happens, you know. People start to break down their what do you call it, their veil, and they get to really be who they are. And it's such a liberation to be who you are without fear of being judged. Or you have to put something up for your parents, for your mother, your father, your friends, society. You don't have to do that here. Wow. So it's really bad for your self-image. That's what it means. The other one, you're not going to like this one. Plum Village is not good for your relationships. It's really, you thought you were doing well in your relationship, and then you come here, you realize, oh my God, yeah. So it's, you have to really look again at your relationship. And, you know, this might not apply to you. You might be fine in your relationship, so don't fix it if it's not broken, okay? I only say it from a few observations. People really have to look at their relationship. You know, they're attached, they are projecting, so on, right? Or maybe their partner is projecting and attached. So these are kind of, and then something happens. Some of the couple has become monks and nuns, so. So I don't like this, you know, double relationship. I want a multi-relationship. Anyway, I just share a few things. Anyways, let's get a little serious because I was tasked to share with you about a sutra. So let's be a little Buddhist about it. So I was tasked to share about the discourse on taking refuge in oneself. And I think some of you been around. I won't go through the sutra, but this is the topic today. How to take refuge in oneself and what that means. And that's very, for me, it's one of the essence of Buddhist practice. Is you know, the Buddha at that time when he was forming, there was a lot of, I guess, religion, a lot of devotional practices, a lot of rituals, a lot of things. There must have been a lot of suffering, and people looking outward, looking for magicians and ritual people that can help relieve their suffering. So this is the time that he was formulating most of his teaching. And so people look for things that may help them connect to a God or something, a savior, something will help them bring peace, and also to look for teachers, And even the Buddha did that himself. He went around looking for teachers to help him find a way so he can liberate himself. And so you need to know the context of how the Buddha formulated the practice. And that way you can copy him in a way. If you understand deeply his life. This is a young man, 29 years old, looking for, like you are looking for when you come to Plum Village or you find Thai's book. We're on a search, spiritual search, search for relieving our anger, our frustration, our suffering, and finding peace. And we all have this kind of innate search to look for peace, happiness, as well as to relieve and even to sometimes avoid suffering or get rid of suffering. And so we look for a teacher. And so people did that. And the Buddha did that. And many of his disciples did that. Many of the teachers of other students found the Buddha and so on. And their students also turned to the Buddha. So there's this tradition throughout the ages, I think, for us to learn from our teachers, to learn from those who went before us. But I think in this sutra, the Buddha is very, very strong. In this sutra, two of the monks, Sariputra and Mahamoggallana, the two eldest monks in the community, this is already, the Sangha has grown full and many monks are already following the Buddha, and these two monks have been teaching and very well loved by the other young monks. And they had passed away. And so this is, and the Buddha saw that a few of the monks were affected. His attendant, Thayananda, was affected, I think he even fainted, Thai shared. He lost balance, It's like, now what do I do? They're gone, oh. So this is the context of this, the teaching and why the Buddha gave this teaching. Because there's a kind of attachment to the teacher. And so the sutra, taking refuge in oneself, the Buddha is pointing at you, letting you know that there's only one place that is the true security, that you will have refuge and safety, solidity, and so on. And that's the island within oneself. And this is beautiful. And when I first learned of this teaching, it just blew my mind. The island of self. Self is a loaded word in our education growing up. Selfie and so on. But the island of self here is a kind of quality that all the qualities that we think we don't have and we're looking for out there or in a book, all the self-help books. When you're suffering, and start the self-help books, keep going, one reference and then you go next one and the next author. And so we have this tendency to look outward for the answer. And this is, for me, was a revolution in Thai, and the Buddha told me, the way out is in. So the island of self here is to look inward. And more specifically, in the sutra, it's recommended that you look inward and to meditate. There's a phrase that says, meditate on the body in the body. Nourishing right understanding and mindfulness so that you can master and transform your cravings and anxiety. That is the best instruction that you will get in terms of what the Buddhist path is go back and look inside your body. And here the body here is not, it's just one word body, but it means the 5 skandhas. It means also the four foundations of your practice of meditation. The 4 foundations in the body, the feelings, the mind, and the object of mind, or the world. So those are the 4 foundations the Buddha has taught. So that when you say look in the body, it means also the feelings, the perceptions, the mental formation, and our mind. So the body here is also the body and how the mind works. So to be a good meditator, you need to know about that. You need to know how this body works. You need to know how the mind and how you perceive and work in the world. And this is very important. If you don't understand how your mind works, you will just keep entangling yourself. And there is a method to slowly begin to see the subtle ways and the more gross ways that our mind works. The gross way is, when you sit and meditate, it's hard to tell, right? It's very subtle. Whether that person, how they're feeling, or what, if they're really meditating, if they're doing the work. It's hard to tell. They look very peaceful, but as soon as they stand up and go to the door and open the door and close it, you can see their mind. You see? That's the gross level. You understand? When you see someone rushing to the tea house, it's very obvious. So the body can review the mind. When you see someone take hot water, they pull the lever down. And how they take the hot water tells you something. It's energetic, it's more subtle. So slowly with meditation, you can see, you train in gross and slowly more subtle. And how the body works, as well as the mind. So we do separate it, but it actually is one thing. The body and mind go together. But it is helpful to train, so the body sometimes can help the mind. Like opening the door. If you train to open the door in a certain way, and you do it every time you open this door, then what is the mind doing? So you're not just training your body, you're training your mind. And that's why as novices, for 3 years, we are very, the brothers look at how we move, how we flip our robe, how we find ways to put on our robe quickly, because we're not used to it. So as a novice, for 3 years, we have to train to master our steps, how we cook, how we sit, how we make tea, how we get out of bed, how our bed looks, the area where we put our things, and how a room looks. So we call them mindful manners. The first 3 years is very, very, so the training in the body is quite helpful at the beginning, because the mind part, tougher, much more subtle, because we are quite cerebral animals. We are very proud. We're Homo sapiens, right? Homo conscious. We are very smart. And so as meditators, sometimes we're too smart for ourselves. So the body helps us. So here when we say, look at the body in the body, is to come back and use this vehicle, this body as a meditation. And another sutta, the 16 exercises on full awareness of breathing, the Buddha gives very clear instruction. And he uses the breath to observe the mind. So here in Plum Village, you have experienced some of the guided meditation. They all go with the breath, right? In breath. Like this few minutes before the Dhamma talk, we heard the guided meditation. Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free. So imagine your body as space. And you feel free. So that with the breath, we can actually learn a lot about our body. So following the breath, don't underestimate that. Maybe you've done it a couple of times. You maybe follow your breath a few meditation, and you, this is like beginners. But be careful. Following the breath is a whole life's work. So every time you sit, establish yourself right away to the breath. You breathe in, you recognize is an in-breath, and find out where is it that spot that is most helpful for you. Sometimes it's near the nose, sometimes it's the back of your head, sometimes it's around here. So it changes, huh? So we take a breath and we recognize there's an in-breath. Take an out-breath. We recognize that out-breath. It sounds like, wow, what does that to do? Anything. But it is the secret. Is that sometimes there's a poem in Zen. You take the silk of the lotus stem. You know when you break the lotus stem and you pull the stem, and there's a very thin silk. Have you ever seen it? It's very thin. It's very light. And there's a poem where you say you can take one of those silk and you can tame an angry tiger. It's beautiful, huh? You don't need a whip. You don't need a chain. You just need a thin silk from the lotus leaf, and you can hold the tiger. Wow, I love that image when I first taught it. So you don't need, and what that silk thread is your breath. You don't underestimate your breath. If you train your breathing, it can really hold and bring back your mind. So with each breath, even a small little breath, you can bring your mind back. It's drifting somewhere. So these exercises is what we do. We don't clip vine, the grapevines. We don't build walls, with bricks. Monastics here, what we do, and what practitioners do here, is we train to have more concentration, more mindfulness, and more insight, more understanding. So with each breath, our mindfulness energy is generated, right? And this is all we do. And the more we become consistent, the more strength it has. Even though it's still very subtle, this little silk thread can really hold you. And some of you maybe have already experienced it. You might have this wrong idea about something. It makes you very angry. Just one breath. Whoa. Second breath, you realize, ooh, I'm so glad I didn't open my mouth. You ever felt that? By the second breath, you're already feeling gratitude. Ooh, I'm so glad I didn't react to that one. That is the tiger. You see, the tiger now turns around and smiles. Wow, I got out of that one. And those of you who have been angry, like I have been in the past, I can destroy many things. All the kitchen cupboards, all the doors, the table, all the knives. So you know what the tiger can do, right? But to master the tiger, wow. Now that is the greatest gift. You know, to be the CEO and like have a good company and you got 500 employees, that's great. But it's incomparable to the CEO of your anger. Huh? That is a great happiness. When I was able to do that, I knew that this is something very, very precious. And I dedicate my life to finding out more. So this is what the power of the breathing, the exercise. The Buddha didn't just give a whole teaching on the breath because, you know, it's what he does and is what he sees can help. So don't underestimate the conscious breathing exercise, training, okay? This is how you train to look at body within the body. You sit, find a time, sit down, and be with your body. Most of the time in our society, we are not taught that. Our body sometimes is in the way. You know, it gets hungry. God, why does it have to get hungry? You know, just fill it up and then continue to work. So we've never, in the society, we don't really value the miracle of having a body, that your parents gave birth to you. And so there's a whole miracle, a cosmos in our body that we can actually come back to. I remember first total relaxation, Sister Chung Kong, and a retreat in Santa Barbara. I lay down. She asked us to put our hand in our heart, on our heart. My first time valuing my heart. Can you believe that? 29 years old. And first time going, oh, thank you, heart. I'll never forget it. It made, you know, it's a very emotional moment of actually, gosh, I know, what have I done to my body? And so with mindfulness, we become to cherish and to value and to protect our body and its energy. So we waste a lot of energy and we hold in a lot of stress and anxiety in our body. So we learn to release, to relax. So that's fundamental, first growth step. But it's nothing less than taking care of the mind as well, because this, you see, is the same. When you feel sad, and your body feels heavy, and your breath tight, find some place in the forest, find a quiet place, and be with that. So, learning to feel your body in a heavy state, and not to go look for a friend to listen to me, and those are needed too, but learn to be with your sadness. Take care of your sadness. There's a bamboo forest out here, a grove here. You can sit in the middle of the bamboo. It's very tight, and let it wrap you. And the bamboo grove here is has mother energy. Find a place down there in the oak grove. So be with whatever that is discomfort. So this is coming back to oneself. We don't go looking for, not all the time. Sometimes we do need a friend, but we need to become our best friend. So So that's the feelings, huh? The body, the feeling. And feelings is both in the four foundation, as in the five skandhas. Feeling is separated out. It's also the mind. It's also consciousness. But the Buddha take it out. And I always wonder why he takes perception and feeling out and make five. Because you look at the way we work as human beings, the feelings is huge, right? Everything is emotional. Everything is either you like, you don't like, is pleasant, not pleasant. Is at lunch today, you see it, feelings, you know. You know, you feel there's not, you're not making contact with people, or, you know. It's like then another feeling comes up, and then somebody comes and say hi to you, and you and then another feeling comes up. So we are feeling animals. We're emotional animal, right? No, if you don't know how that works, it's like the weather, you know. You know, people. Some of my brothers, they follow the weather a lot. It's like, tomorrow's going to be a great day. Or the next day is going to be, it's going to be sunny, it's going to be rain, but it's really never know, you know. When the day comes and then it's like it's half rain and then it's half sunny, but it's so much energy. It's like, whatever, okay, it's going to rain, okay, it's going to rain. You know, your feeling, sorry to say, is kind of like that. So don't get attached to it. You're feeling, everybody is going so well. But then tomorrow, right? I don't mean it. If you're going through a bad time right now, please, you know, it's cool. But it's not the only place we need to be. Huh? Just don't always base yourself on the thermometer of your feelings. That's terrible. There's more things going on, you know. So feeling is just one, okay? The food is not good, but like, you know, it's wonderful to be, you know, hanging out here and the sun is coming out. So there are other things going on besides. So feelings, but know how they work. Right? Know how they work. Sometimes I read the newspaper and I look at what kind of emotions. I look for emotions in the newspaper. Yeah, don't read it for the news because it's all fake anyways. No, not fake, but like, you know, perspective. You know, they have opinions. So I don't get caught that they're facts or like they're really what happened, because next week they'll have another article to say something else, right? So sometimes you look at the newspaper as looking for feelings. Well, that one is greed, and that one is anger, that one is jealousy, that one is very good exercise. You see the human drama. And it helps you, it helps me become a little bit, I don't want to say a little bit more even, I don't want to say detached, but like just careful not to let it be overwhelming. I'm having a good day, I'm having a good day. I'm having a good day, I'm having a good day. It's a great day. It is a good day. It's a nice day to be alive. So I had to train that. I came from a culture where everything is superlative. It's so nice to see you. You know, sorry, I'm making fun of myself. You know, everything is super. You know, EST. You know, it's superb. You know, it's grand. You know. Nothing can just be like, yeah, it's a beautiful day. It is. It truly is. So these feelings, you explore and find that place where the feeling doesn't move you. That is taking refuge in oneself. You know how to take care of your feelings. If I ask you, you know how to take care of your emotion? You have to say yes. If you're a practitioner, you cannot be beat up by your feelings. You have to know. It's not to say don't have feelings. Yes, be sad, be angry, be irritated, be judgmental, be whatever. There's many, many. And you know how to take care of it. Now, that is the island of self. Taking care of oneself. So the body in the body, the feeling in the feeling. So don't deny yourself. Just, don't deny yourself from feeling the unpleasant feeling. Eat something that you don't normally would like to eat. Right? Why is it you just go after feelings that make you feel pleasant and you like? And why you just choose things that you like? Why not choose something that you wouldn't normally like and feel how that feels? Anyway, I'm sharing with you my kind of weird way of training. Only do this if it works for you, okay? I'm a very, I'm a very tricky person, so I have to trick myself. So if you're that kind of person, then this probably makes sense. So, I do this so I become more resilient. I have choices. It means that when you only choose things that make you feel good, you don't have so much choices. Because sometime it ain't going to be there. And what are you going to have? Nothing. So explore pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. Neutral feeling, Thai has an interesting thing about neutral feelings. And we can look at something neutral like brushing our teeth. What's so pleasant about brushing our teeth? I remember first coming across Thai teaching us about this, and it was really hard I had to really do it. You never think brushing your teeth is something like that you can enjoy, right? Whoever had that? Some of you, I'm sure. But not most people, like brushing your teeth is hygiene, you just... Or even going to urinate. Strange, huh? I never thought of it as something to enjoy until Thai told me one time. He walked into the forest, told his attendant to get away, and Thai looked into the maples outside of Omega Practice Center in the US, and Thai enjoyed urinating. And I remember the first time I heard that from Thai at a retreat, and I go, God, oh, wow. You see, it used to be neutral for me. It was like, whoever thinks about enjoying peeing, But you see the difference? We think, only when we eat or we drink, our favorite drink is the pleasant. But actually, the releasing we think is the unpleasant. Oh, we have to go pee, or we have to go defecate, or it's just something. But it's amazing what Thai is revealing to us. For me, it was mind-boggling. I was like, wow. And I remember first trying. It is quite amazing, and the birds. It's not something you have to get rid of and do it quickly, and you have to hide. So this is something, taking something neutral, what you think is neutral, and turning it a little bit. You see? So whatever you think, I used to think folding clothes is neutral. I get it done. And so I began to apply it to all aspects of my life where I kind of like, it's just gray. You just do it. You fold your clothes. But then I remember, okay, I'm going to enjoy folding my clothes. Because we don't have iron, well not, I don't use an iron, so I make it, if you fold it correctly and you pack it in and you stack it tight, it irons itself. I know, it's it's not good for the electricity, it's a electricity company. But now when I do my clothing, I fold my clothing, at least 30 minutes, maybe, and I don't count, but it takes a while. Because I get everything lined up, the seams, and it's a little bit, what is it? Obsessive? OCD or something like that. It's borderline kind of, but I'm smiling and I'm really enjoying it. And my brother, my roommate, he knows not to bother me. So it's also a time for meditation. You breathe, and I have found ways to fold it where I can get it pretty, smooth. So that's a kind of another one, huh? Folding clothes. It used to be neutral. It's not neutral anymore. It's actually, but it's not like, oh, it's time to fold clothes, It's more like, I have clothes, so I use that time to be grateful. I have a rip in my pants and I see, and I try to value it and keep using it as long as I can. So it's a gratitude too to my clothes. So it's not just, anyways. You see, I have a few more, like, cutting my nail. I've shared this with you. It used to be neutral, cutting your nail and your toenail. Now, when it's time to cut my nail, enjoy it, especially your last toe. We underestimate our last toe. Oh, you're good for nothing. What are you doing down there? It's this little excuse for a toe, right? You ever look at the nail on your small toe? It's so cute. Anyway, it's really enjoyable because I had my toe infected. And when you have an infection on your toe. So when I cut my toe, I am very careful and I appreciate and I am so grateful to every toe. So it sounds funny, but for me, it is these little things, right? Of how you take care of yourself. Don't underestimate those little things. Something that you love to do, don't deprive yourself of it. I know when I'm in big trouble, when I start to, I don't have time for that right now. You know that one? Okay, maybe not this week. No. It's kind of like I don't deserve it, or like I don't have time for it, or this is more important. So be careful of that. You do it this week, you do it more next week, and so on. And so this is a way of slowly not taking care of yourself. So these are feelings. And we move into the area of the mind, mental formation, and object of mind. So it's the way we think, the way we perceive, and what we have ideas about the world. So remember this, okay? So the mind is also mental formation. The mind is what happens, the ideas, the thinking, everything in your mind. And the way you perceive the world, the Dharma, how you see things. And this is the fun stuff. You have a lot of ideas about yourself, and you have a lot of ideas about the world, about the people, and your place in it. Those are ideas, notions, and you need to know that those are notions. They're not truth, they're not real, you made them up. Sorry. That's the part for me that was like, wow, I did make it up. And you'll get, if you're on the path, this is a very cool thing to watch. How your mind works and how the world works. And this is how we are in the world, right? And so a person who knows and it becomes aware of how their mind works is a little closer to being free. And so here, the objective here is to be free. So this is, you have to ask yourself, what are some notions, some ideas that keep us tight? So in the areas, in the 5 skandha, we have feelings and we have perception, right? And then mental formation and then consciousness. The area of perception, the Buddha also take out. It's also part of mental formation or of mind, right? So why did the Buddha take out perception? That was always a question of mine, and that helped me begin to see more and understand more. And when we talk about perception, we usually think that there's something out there. But in the Buddha's teaching, and what he found is that actually the one who's perceiving and what is out there come together. They cannot be separated. This for me was a good exercise, good way of contemplating how we perceive things, and we think it's real, it's out there, but it's actually the famous example is someone sees a snake, right, and runs away, and then when there's light or flashlight, comes back and looks and see it's not a snake. It's just a stick on the ground. So there's a lot of that happening, but there's a strong tendency in us as humans to think that that's really how reality is. And so and one way of observing this is sometimes you feel sad, and the way you will look at the world is a little different. The way you look at the day, Plum Village is still Plum Village, but if you're handling some kind of strong feeling, a resentment, a sadness, an anger, and so how you experience Plum Village is very different from someone else. So it's the same environment, but everyone in this room is perceiving it differently. And this is a good thing to be aware of, because the question that I wrote, the calligraphy, are you sure? That's what it's referring to your perception. Don't be too sure that that's all that is happening. So this is something that helped me in my practice to observe and to begin to see. It depends on my attitude, my way of perceiving. And when we're very sure about something, it's usually there's a lot of suffering involved with that. You notice that? Sometimes it's very easy, you notice when two people are having difficulty to each other. If you share room with 4 or 5 people, sometimes there's 2 people in that room, maybe there's 10 people. There's 2 people having a lot of difficulty with each other. And it's related to how they're perceiving something. But you're the lucky one, you're the 10th person in the room, and you're like, wow, that's an interesting way of looking at it. And then you go to the other person, it's like, oh, yeah, I can see your point too. And then you're the other point, the 10th perspective. And you're not suffering, you're not angry, and you're not angry at them. But why are they angry at each other? Have that ever happened? In families, it's kind of like that. if you have siblings, it's very interesting. So one of the ways I began to see more and more of it is when I'm not involved in it. It's like, God, why don't you just drop that idea and everything will be okay. No. You see, are you sure? I am sure this is what happened. It's like, okay, no, I'm sure this is what happened. And you begin to, wow. So that this is the gist of it. If you can see it happening when you're not involved, and the more you see that, the more you're very unsure when you're sure. So when you're really sure, you better be careful because it's probably going to be some suffering involved. So this is in the area of ideas, right? We have a lot of notions, and usually there's a way of doing this. How come you're not doing it like this? I like it to be done like this. Usually it doesn't go outside of that. It's like humans are so habitual animals. So anything outside of your usual, and you suffer. And the perception also is created by the way we were raised, another aspect, okay? So the more we begin to understand ourselves, our parents, our society, then we begin to recognize that this is how we perceive things, and it's only one way of perceiving it. So it doesn't mean you go around don't perceiving. It's like, I better not look at that. No judgment there, No, go ahead, but be aware that this is not only way of looking at it. Like, the food, you like this kind of food, it's good. Enjoy it, Don't say, oh, I don't have an opinion. It's okay. It means do it, but don't be caught by it. That is the only way of perceiving it. So I see sometimes people misunderstand this, and they're very afraid of perceiving. It's very protective, It's okay. But the world of perception, the world of perceiving is also wonderful. So we also have to train how to look, how to have the right view. So when you perceive something and you want to hold on to it, but it's impermanent, then you suffer. So this is the area of mind. And that is in the exercise, 16 exercise, the Buddha also recommends us to look at it, to look at things, to perceive things as impermanent. And the hardest part is seeing your loved ones and seeing your friends as impermanent. That's the toughest one. Tai one time shared that his practice is to wake up for the new day and look at his students as if it's the first time. And he shared that it's difficult, but it is a practice. That's, maybe in 5 years I will believe that, but like moment to moment, yesterday, I look at you and yeah, you're different, but and so on. Ourself as well. We might have been something yesterday, but we don't allow ourselves to be impermanent today. That's a hard one. You go, oh no, I am like this. I am only like this. I come from this culture, I am like that. I am PhD, OCD, ADD, all those, there's a lot of D's around, disorders, right? You go to a therapist and they tell you a certain thing, you're A, you're type A, you're type B, there's so many categories. You're Scorpio, you're Cancer or something. So these things, if we're not careful, we box ourselves. So maybe we have some of that, but that's not all of us. We are a continuation of our parents, but we are also a living, organic, growing, evolving being, right? So that for me is what impermanence helps me to see, that we are part of a process. Human beings are not just, like, a figure that you move. And reflecting on ourselves when we were 18 years old is very helpful. Reflect ourselves when we are 35 years old. And some of us can reflect when we were 50 years old, when we were 5-year-old. So these meditation, it builds in us a way of looking at the world. This is a way of taking refuge in oneself. You train yourself so that you have a way of looking at the world. You see, that is the refuge. The refuge is not this body or this world or this teacher. That's what it means when you take refuge in the island of the Dharma. Some people say that Dharma here is the truth, the law, but here it is the practice. Or more specifically, here is a way of looking. The Dharma is also a practice of looking at things at a certain way. You see the refuge? That's strange as a refuge. You think like, an island is a refuge, or a person is a refuge, or, like a figure, the president is a refuge sometimes, yeah? I'm going to get in trouble. Your parents is a refuge. We have these ideas, right? But they are changing, impermanent, and so on. They're not so reliable. What is reliable? That is a good question. If you're here, you should be asking that question. What can I rely on? Thai, the monks and nuns, my Dharma friends, Plum village, it will be here forever. The sun will shine. You have these notions, But what is it when they say rely on the Dharma? What is it? It is a way of looking at the world. It's a way of viewing the world, the right view. This is what you're training to take refuge in. And that way, whatever situation you're put into, the way you look at it, you will suffer or not suffer. You will be at peace or you will be disturbed. That's what it means to have craving and anxiety alleviated. There are things we crave for and want to hang on to that disturbs us because we don't know how to look at it. So right view is an ongoing process. Our views can always improve. And the best, to a point, like the 10th person in the room, you don't have a point of view. That is amazing. You don't have a view. That is the greatest view. And you know that. With that example I gave you, the 10 roommates, 2 or 3 of them are arguing, and you're the 10th roommate, and you're like, I don't have a point of view. Sorry, guys. Of course you are suffering because your roommates are suffering. But you see what having no view is? That's just a gross example. But in politics, you're left, you're right. Both sides have a point. So you try, anyway, I don't want to get into views here, get in trouble. So we'll, so in the area of mind, know how the mind works. There are ways to study that I won't go through here, but Thai has taught in detail about the mind. You can look at it in the book Understanding Our Mind, or the teaching on manifestation only. So there's a whole teaching on Buddhist psychology that you can go through Thai has spent a lot of his years clarifying for us the teaching on how our mind works. And we need to know how our mind works if we are wanting, to alleviate and to be helpful. Because this is what we use to, if we look at a certain, it is the instrument for which we are working with when we work in the world, right? When we work with other people. So you need to know how your mind works and the mind outside the mind. So the second phrase where it says to look at the elements outside the body and in the elements, to meditate on the elements outside the body, in the elements outside the body. That is your world and how society works. And you need to know how that works. And the more you know, the more you have a choice not to participate. So this is something, a very clear example of anyway, recently they had Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, Black Friday shopping, yeah? I heard a few things about it. It's hilarious. So that's how society works, They want you to buy things, right? And there's in this month, December, it's going to be very hard to resist spending. Woo. I recently shared with my brother, if I receive a gift that is handmade from the recycle department, I open it and it's wrapped in recycle wrapping paper, and it's made by hand from bottles and caps and glued together, and I pull it and it moves. I appreciate it, but there's a part of me that said, God, man, why don't you buy me something, something that's has a tag and it's wrapped and it's it's mass produce, plastic wrapping, the tendency that we have, the way we view things, this is really ingrained in me from childhood all the way up, growing up in America, you get a present, it's not bought, it's God, that's cheap. But look at the state of the world now, so you change the way you look to appreciate something that is found in the trash, glued together and made out of love. So you have to pull it around, and wow, they spent time on this. This took a lot of time. And nobody, it's easy to go buy something on Amazon and order it, and all the packaging involved with it, and comes to your door, and then so on. That's so convenient. Gosh. Anyway, I'm sharing with you how to look at things. This is a little bit brainwashing, But it is my liberation, and is my happiness. And it is a North Star. We cannot be perfect at it. So don't be judgmental of others who do buy things. But I share with you as a clear example of how long it took me to resist and to change my way of looking and valuing things that are in the recycle area or lost and found, or it's left over from my brothers, or I go to storage and find a sweater that, I have to resist getting something new. It's a tough practice. But it's, anyway, something, if you've been here around, the urge to buy something is so easy. You get online, click, and it comes in a box in front of the office. So that's a kind of changing a view of how we relate to the world. And it's very important. I share that kind of humorously, but it is huge in terms of how it is affecting other countries that make these products, as well as the plastics and the wrapping and things that are going back to the environment. So nothing is, what do you call it? There's a cost to it, And so I think that's something in our generation, in our time now, we need to really relook again. And so we've been taking refuge in that. The consumerist, that was in the last 100 years, has been our main refuge, right? To buy and to gain and to accumulate material things. I think it's time now to find a different way. We kind of look down at societies or even certain tribes now, like they're kind of backwards. They don't have electricity. They don't know. We thought that they don't know how to aggregate the land, but actually they're very humble about it. And so we're finding new ways. It's beautiful. We're slowly changing our viewpoints about past societies that we thought they were backwards, but actually they produce less harm to the environment than, So it's another way of looking. So this is a training. So that relates to cravings, anxiety as well. Anxiety about the future, the way we look at the future. And this is something also I found liberating here, is the future is not something there that's going to come. The future is what I make of it right now. That is very liberating. So all the causes and all the aspiration stuff, we think we're going to go somewhere, or that it is something that's going to come to us. But what I learned from Thai and the Buddhist teaching is I will make the future. What I do and choose to do today and how I look at it. So your mind will affect the future. Because you don't let it get in. You don't let the way they describe the world and the future be your only reality. You understand? It's just all stuff made up anyway. Let's make up a different story, This is very liberating. This is what we need. So our anxiety, it comes because we believe what they're telling us. So we need to recorrect and choose a course for ourselves. And that includes having less impact on the environment, on our society, on other people's, other animals and plants, and so on. And we have to look and see how we're impacting and we reducing that. So just end here. Talk about a beautiful image that Thai shared with me with part of his teaching. Talked about a hut after the wind, the storm, and a window blew open and the storm went in and destroyed all the paper and everything's a mess. The person will come back to the hut and slowly close the window, close the door. It's still windy and everything outside. And once they close the window and the doors, the paper starts to settle. And this person begins to light a fire in the fireplace in the hut. And outside it's still stormy. And slowly the fire warms the hut. And this person begins to pick up the paper, put up the table again, put the chair back, stack the paper, wipe the water that got through. It's a beautiful image, huh? This never left me, and it's still, I can still conjure it up. And it's an exercise, a visual exercise that I go through when I have a difficult moment, or feeling kind of bluesy, feeling a little bit irritated, feeling a little bit lonely. How come no brothers are visiting me? Or why do I feel like I should go visit somebody? Or it's just, one of those days. And I go back and I sit and watch the sun go down over there. And I do this exercise. It is a visual exercise, and I offer it to you for those who have not heard it. And it's something you do visually. I'm a visual person. Either I'm laying down or I'm sitting on the chair, and I see the hut, the rain, the wind, and I see myself going in the hut, and I do exactly as Tai had shared with me. Tai didn't share it as an exercise. He told the story about a monk. I think it might be him. But I turned it into an exercise, and it's helped me a lot in getting out of strong emotions, or kind of depressed emotion, or any kind of, something you don't even know what it is, It just feels, but it makes you restless, whatever. Or you feel disconnected to your blood family in America or something. It's just unpleasant. So I go through the whole exercise. I go in, and I make myself look mindful while I'm doing all that. I'm probably rushing, but I'm very mindful in my mind, I close the door gently. I'm not running around trying to get everything tidy, but I'm doing it very slowly. It's very pleasant if you ever get a chance to do it. And it's something that you can always turn on and do. So this is the island of self. You make a place inside yourself where you can rely on. And this is very important, because there are many, many other journeys that you cross, right? Life is impermanent, and we will learn more. Whatever state you're in now is not permanent. You will have challenges, you will have new things. It's beautiful. And some of that might be testing. But you're okay, now you have a practice. And you have to train and to build this hut. And there's a poem here, written by a poet, Mai Tao. Beautiful poem, and one of my brothers made it into music. It's Vietnamese, yeah? But it says, Hãy chế lấy mây và gầy lấy mặt nắng. It's like, please make yourself some clouds and some sunshine. Make it, and don't just borrow from the earth and the heavens. Because one day when the moon is blocked and is far away, and that in front of you, the light of the moon is still shining. It's beautiful, and it reflects the Buddha's teaching that we need to learn how to create the sunshine and the white clouds and the moonlight in ourselves. So anytime when you do walking meditation, when you walk outside, when you eat, you can create this island that has the flowers, the water, the clear lake, the mountain solid. These elements is not out there, right? So this is a kind of a way of practicing, so that we become a more solid practitioner for ourselves. We become our refuge as well as we can provide refuge for others. And unfortunately, the world needs more, solid refuge. And don't make them attached to you, though. You gotta teach them also to make their own island. That is the task. So don't get them to, always come to me, call me anytime, because you will be burnt out as well, So our task as we learn this is to transmit it, to share to other people how to do it. The breathing, the body, the feelings, see? It's not complicated. You don't need to read any more self-help books. It's in those steps. But you need to do it, that's all. You need to train to... and when something unpleasant happens, it is an opportunity. That's one thing you need to remember. I was lucky. My mother grew me up like that. I always see challenges as opportunity. She had to escape Vietnam because of the war, so it's kind of easy to do that. See everything. You're out in the Pacific Ocean on a boat with 200 people. Keep going. Don't give up. I also have that contemplation. I'm a refugee. And the only place now I can take refuge, not in America, not in France, not any country, not any president or CEO. So remember, we're all refugees. And the island is within here. And that will be a very strong gift, a great gift that we will have for the holidays that are coming up. Holidays is a very trying time for a lot of people because they don't have a place of refuge. And the marketing and the companies and the Amazon, they know this. They know you're unstable, most unstable in December. Come on, marketing, simple. The music makes you feel good and you... So please be a refuge for our loved ones. And they need a different kind of present. And this is what you can offer to your loved one. Mom, Dad, I have something so precious I want to give you. It's my presence. I can't wrap it up, but I want to let you know before it's too late. That's what you can give them. Just a phone call. And it will change everything. Your sibling, your brothers and sisters, apologize. Sorry, I was not there for you. But I don't want to hold this resentment. So this coming month, December, please give yourself a present and allow yourself to be a refuge for those who might need it. This is a kind of a gift that we can offer to the world. Thank you for being here and for not giving, staying on the boat. Another talk I think you're here is the island. I think Thai developed the island of the Sangha, right? The island of the Dharma, and then the island of Sangha. And Thai spent his whole life, and this is here. So you don't need to have a teaching on that. So today you can take refuge in the Sangha. Just be with your friends here. Everyone here, they have the same aspiration. We want to help better the world. Want to bring more peace, less anger and hate, less prejudice, less... So please take refuge in your Sangha, and your friends here. It's also beautiful. But don't get attached. Yeah? We're all flowing together. Thank you.